I never thought I'd be posting here, but I need perspective from people who aren't emotionally invested in my situation. Long story short, I, 29F, have been dating Jason, 31M, for almost 8 months. Things have been mostly great. He's intelligent, attractive, has a good job, and we have similar values. But last night, everything imploded in a way I didn't see coming. For context, I've always been upfront about my dating philosophy. I believe in keeping my options open until there's a formal commitment. Growing up, I watched my mom sacrifice everything for men who ultimately left her with nothing. She drilled into me that a smart woman never puts all her eggs in one basket, and I've lived by that rule. When Jason and I first met, I made it clear I was still dating other people and wasn't looking to rush into exclusivity. He seemed fine with this arrangement, even saying he appreciated my honesty. We kept seeing each other, and things were developing naturally. Last week, I got invited to a destination wedding in Cancun by Alex, another guy I've been casually seeing. Nothing serious has happened between us. We've been on maybe 5 dates over 3 months, but I've known him for years through mutual friends. When I mentioned this trip to Jason during dinner last night, his entire demeanor changed. "You're still seeing other people?" he asked, looking genuinely confused. I reminded him about our initial conversations. I've never hidden the fact that I'm seeing other people. We never agreed to be exclusive. Jason set down his fork and stared at me. "It's been 8 months, Rachel. I thought things had naturally progressed. I haven't been with anyone else since our 3rd date." This caught me off guard. Yes, we've been spending more time together lately, but we'd never had the talk. I explained that I wasn't sleeping with anyone else, but didn't see why I should cut off options when we hadn't made any official commitment. "Options?" He repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "That's what you call them?" The conversation spiraled from there. I tried explaining my philosophy, that keeping options open isn't about actively pursuing others, but about protecting myself until there's certainty. He argued that if I needed backup plans after 8 months, I clearly didn't value what we had. "I'm not interested in competing for someone who sees me as an option," he finally said. "I thought we were building something real, but you're still shopping around. I'm too old for this." When I told him he couldn't handle a woman with options, that maybe he was insecure about competing, he just looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Not anger, just finality. "I'm done competing," he said quietly. "I want someone who chooses me the way I've chosen them." Then he paid the bill, kissed my forehead, and left. I sat there in the restaurant for another 20 minutes, stunned. The waiter asked if everything was all right. What could I say? My maybe boyfriend just walked out because I'm going to Cancun with another guy? Instead, I just nodded, finished my wine, and called an Uber. That night, I tried calling Jason 3 times. Straight to voicemail. I sent a text saying we should talk when we're both calmer, but it shows undelivered. I think he blocked me. The finality of it hit me harder than I expected. The next morning, my roommate Tara found me on the couch, where I'd fallen asleep scrolling through our text history. When I explained what happened, I expected her unconditional support. Instead, she gave me this look. "Rachel, how would you feel if Jason told you he was going to Cancun with another woman?" "That's different," I insisted. "He knows Alex is just a friend." "A friend you've been dating," she corrected. "For 3 months, while also dating Jason for 8. I tried explaining my philosophy again. How maintaining options is self-protection, not a reflection on Jason. Tara, who's been married for 5 years, shook her head. "Rach, there's a difference between not rushing into commitment and actively keeping people on the back burner. It sounds like Jason thought you were in a relationship, but we never defined anything. Not all commitments are verbal," she said gently. "Sometimes they're shown through actions. 8 months is a long time to be keeping options open with someone you see multiple times a week." Her words kept echoing as I went through my day. I canceled a lunch date with a guy I occasionally see, something that had never felt wrong before, but suddenly did. By evening, I was analyzing every conversation Jason and I ever had about exclusivity. Had I been willfully misinterpreting signals? The awful possibility that I'd been unfair to him kept me awake that night. 2 days of radio silence later, I decided to go to his apartment. When he opened the door, he looked terrible, unshaven, red-eyed. For a split second, hope fluttered in my chest. He missed me too. "What do you want, Rachel?" His voice was flat. "To talk. Can I come in?" He hesitated but stepped aside. His apartment looked different somehow, emptier. Then I noticed the boxes. "Are you moving?" "Got a transfer to the Seattle office. I've been wanting it for a while." The news hit like a physical blow. "When were you going to tell me?" He gave me a look that made me feel 2 inches tall. I didn't think someone who sees me as an option would care about my moving plans. "That's not fair," I said, my voice cracking. "I never said you weren't important to me." "Actions speak louder, Rachel. For months, I've introduced you to my family, rearranged my schedule to be with you, talked about future plans. Meanwhile, You've been keeping the door open for something better to come along. It wasn't like that, I protested, but even to my ears it sounded weak. Jason sighed and sat on the arm of his couch. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, because from where I'm standing, I gave you everything while you hedged your bets. His words stung because there was truth in them. I'd been so focused on protecting myself that I hadn't noticed I was hurting someone I genuinely cared about. I was scared, I admitted finally. My mom. I know about your mom, he interrupted. You've told me how she lost herself in relationships. But Rachel, at some point, you have to stop punishing new people for old wounds. I'm not your dad or your mom's ex-husbands. I sat down across from him, suddenly feeling the weight of my philosophy. What had started as self-protection had become a wall keeping genuine connection at bay. I didn't realize how serious you were, I whispered. Because you didn't want to, he replied. It was easier to keep me at arm's length. We talked for hours that evening. I cried, explaining my fears of abandonment, of being left with nothing. He listened, occasionally nodding, but I could feel the distance between us, a chasm of my own making. I care about you, I finally said. More than I've admitted to myself. The thought of you moving across the country. I couldn't finish. Jason looked at me with sad eyes. The ironic thing is, I would have asked you to come with me. I was going to propose before the transfer was finalized. The words hit me like a truck. Propose? We never even discussed marriage. Because every time I tried steering conversations toward our future, you changed the subject, he said. I convinced myself you just needed time. We sat in silence as I processed everything. All those options I'd kept open suddenly seemed hollow compared to what I might have had with Jason, what I'd carelessly thrown away. Is it too late? I finally asked. He didn't answer immediately. I don't know, Rachel. I love you, but I can't be with someone who sees me as a backup plan. I deserve better than that. You do? I agreed, surprising myself. And I think I've been cheating myself too, hiding behind this philosophy instead of risking real vulnerability. Before I left his apartment that night, we agreed to meet for coffee in a week, after we'd both had time to think. I canceled my Cancun trip the next morning and told Alex we shouldn't see each other anymore. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't keeping options open. It was terrifying. Today marks 6 days since that conversation. Tomorrow we meet for coffee, and I have no idea what will happen. But I do know this. Whether Jason and I find our way back to each other or not, I'm done collecting options. I've learned the hard way that sometimes in trying to protect yourself from pain, you miss out on real happiness. I hope it's not too late for us. But if it is, at least I'll go forward understanding that real love isn't about having safety nets. It's about having the courage to jump without them.